Hey, it's Medium Jenny Lee. I'm here with the next Raw discussion video. This is session 47, which makes this video number 48. We've made it to the end of April. Well, mid-April 1981. Could you first give us an indication of the condition of the instrument? You know, Carla. It's previously stated. Good Lord. Okay, the question that I was trying to ask at the end of the last session was, of what value to evolution or experience in the creator knowing himself are the positive and negative social memory complexes that form starting in fourth density, and why was this planned by the Logos? Good question. There are inherent incorrectnesses in your query. However, we may answer the main point of it. So some about that question ain't right. The incorrectness lies in the consideration that social memory complexes were planned by the Logos or sublogos. That is incorrect, and as the unity of the creator exists within the smallest portion of any material created by love, much less in a self-aware being. So there's a little footnote here. In this context, the idiom much less means especially so. Though the phrase is typically used in negative contexts, it seems that Ra is saying that if the entire creator exists and even a microscopic piece of dust, it exists all the more in a self-aware being. Okay, I can go with that. However, the distortion of free will causes the social memory complex to appear as a possibility at certain stage of the evolution of mind. The purpose or consideration which causes entities to form such complexes of these social memory complexes is a very simple extension of the basic distortion towards the creator's knowing of itself. For when a group of mind-body spirits become able to form a social memory complex, all experience of each entity is available to the whole of the complex. Thus, the creator knows more of its creation in each entity partaking in this communion of entities. So that makes sense. If the creator's goal is to know itself, then having this opportunity to have all the information and knowledge and experiences of a whole group of entities be open to each other, it makes sense that that would allow the creator to know itself better. We choose the values of ... let's read it without that. We were given the values of better than 50% service to others for fourth density positive and better than 95% service to self for fourth density negative social memory complexes. Do these two values correspond to the same rate of vibration? I perceive you have difficulty in expressing your query. You don't say. We shall respond in an attempt to clarify your query. That's such a fun word, isn't it? Query. The vibratory rates are not to be understood as the same in positive and negative orientations. They are to be understood as having the power to accept and work with intelligent infinity to a certain degree of intensity. Due to the fact that the primary color or energy blue is missing from the negatively oriented system of power, the blue-green vibratory energies are not seen in the vibratory schedules or patterns of the negative fourth and fifth rates of vibration. Okay, the positive has the full spectrum of true color time-space vibratory patterns and thus contains a variant vibratory pattern or schedule. Each is capable of doing fourth density work. This is the criterion for harvest. So the negatives don't have the blue or the blue-green. Positives have all of them. And that's the criterion for the harvest. Okay. Did you say that blue is missing from the fourth density negative? Oh, let us clarify further. As we have previously stated, all beings have the potential for all possible vibratory rates. Thus, the potential of the blue-green energy center activation is precisely where it must be in a creation of love. However, the negatively polarized entity will have achieved harvest due to extremely efficient use of red, yellow, and orange, moving directly to the gateway indigo, bringing through the intelligent energy channel the instreamings of the inner intelligent infinity. So negatives are skipping over the heart chakra and the throat chakra energies and going straight to the third eye. Then at the fourth density graduation into fifth, is there anything like the percentages you gave us for third density graduation into fourth for polarization? There are in your modes of thinking responses we can make. However, the important point is that the graduations from density to density do occur. The positive negative polarity is a thing which will, at the sixth level, simply become history. Therefore, we speak in an illusory time continuum when we discuss statistics of positive versus negative harvest into fifth. A large percent of fourth density negative entities continue the negative path from fourth to fifth density experience, for without wisdom, the compassion and desire to aid other self is not extremely well informed. Thus, though one loses approximately 2% moving from negative to positive during the fourth density experience, we find approximately 80% of graduations in the fifth density, those of the negative. Huh? A large percentage of fourth density negative continue to fifth density negative, because without wisdom, the compassion and desire to aid other self is not extremely well formed. Because remember, fifth density is all about wisdom. Okay, so they don't have the wisdom yet to want to help others. Thus, though one loses approximately 2% moving from negative to positive during the fourth density, we find approximately 8% of graduations into the fifth density, those of the negative. So what are they saying here? Are they saying that what the hell? Okay, what are they saying here? Are they saying 2% of the negative entities end up moving to positive when they go from fourth to fifth? Or during the fourth density? But 8% of graduations from fourth to fifth are negative. That's pretty small, really. But I guess if they have to have 95% on the service to self path to even get there in the first place, I would imagine that has to be a pretty small amount. Okay. I was actually asking if the 50% is required for graduation from third to fourth in the positive sense, 95 is required for the graduation in the negative sense. Does this have to more closely approach 100 in both cases for graduation from fourth to fifth? Does an entity have to be 99% polarized for negative and maybe 80% polarized for positive graduation from fourth to fifth? Oh, now we know what you're asking. We perceive your query now. To give this in your terms is misleading, for there are visual aids and training aids available in a fourth density which automatically aid the entity into polarization while cutting down extremely upon the quick effect of catalyst. Thus the density above yours must take up more space-time. Let's pause here for a second. What did it just say? There are visual aids or training aids available in fourth density which automatically aid the entity in polarization while cutting down extremely upon the quick effect of catalyst. Is anybody imagining what I'm imagining here? Because all I can think about is those really awful training videos that they make for jobs when you get a job and you're having to learn the ropes of the new job. And they're really bad acting and like terrible editing and goofy music. because that's all I can think about. There are visual training aids in fourth density. Please, please, for the love of all things holy, let us not have to watch a training module in the fourth density. Come on now. Let's make it more interesting than that. It's got to be something magical and amazing, right? I'm not going to be sitting in a room with a whole bunch of other fourth density entities watching a stupid video about how to, I don't even know. No. I'm not doing it. I know. I'm sure it's not that, but that's all I could think of. The percentage of service to others for positively oriented entities will harmoniously approach 98% in intention. Okay. The percentage of service to others of positively oriented entities will harmoniously approach 98%. Because they're working harmoniously during the fourth density. The qualifications for fifth density, however, involve understanding. This then becomes the primary qualification for graduation from fourth to fifth. To achieve this graduation, the entity must be able to understand the actions, the movements, and the dance. There is no percentage describable which measures this understanding. It is a measure of efficiency of perception. It may be measured by light. The ability to love, accept, and use a certain intensity of light thus creates the requirement for both positive and negative fourth to fifth harvesting. The ability to love, accept, and use a certain intensity of light through understanding. Efficiency of perception. Very interesting. Could you define crystallized entity? Yes, please. We have used this particular term because it is a fairly precise meaning in your language. When a crystalline structure is formed of your physical material, the elements present in each module are bonded in a regularized fashion with the elements in each other molecule. Thus, the structure is regular and when fully and perfectly crystallized has certain properties. It will not splinter or break. It is very strong without effort, and it is radiant, traducing light and a beautiful refraction, giving pleasure of the eye to many. Beautiful. Crystallized entities sound lovely. I know they're talking about crystals on our planet, but still. In our esoteric literature, numerous bodies are listed. I have here a list of the physical body, the etheric, the emotional, the astral, and the mental. Could you tell me if this listing is the proper number, and can you tell me the use and purposes and effects of each of these and any other bodies that may be in our mind-body-spirit complex? To answer your query fully would be the work of many sessions, such as this one, for the interrelationships of the various bodies and each body's effects in various situations is an enormous study. Whew, okay. Yeah, let's not do that today. However, we shall begin by referring your minds back to the spectrum of true colors and the usage of this understanding and grasping the various densities of your octave. We have the number 7 repeated from the Slow down. We have the number 7 repeated from the macrosm to the microsm in structure and experience. Therefore, it would be only expected that there would be 7 basic bodies, which would perhaps be more lucid by stating as red, ray body, etc. However, we are aware that you wish to correspond these bodies mentioned with the color rays. This will be confusing, for various teachers have offered their teach, learning, understanding in various terms. Thus, we may name a subtle body one thing and find another find a different name. So in other words, there's just a bunch of names for the same kind of stuff. But because people have different understandings of those different names, it gets confusing. The red ray body is your chemical body. However, it is not the body which you have as clothing in the physical. It is the unconstructed material of the body, the elemental body without form. This basic unformed material body is important to understand, for there are healings which may be carried out by the simple understanding of the elements present in the physical vehicle. So that's really that is very confusing, because when we think of a chemical body, we're thinking of our physical, like flesh, blood, and bone stuff, but that's not what it is. It's some material made of chemicals and the elements before it's formed into our flesh, blood, and bones. I think. The orange ray body is the physical body complex, so that's the one we see and we think of as ourselves. The body complex is still not the body you inhabit. Oh, never mind. Never mind. See how confusing this is? This body complex is not the body you inhabit, rather the body formed without self-awareness, the body in the womb before the spirit-mind complex enters. This body may live without the inhabitation of the mind and spirit complexes. However, it seldom does so. And you can see my confusion here. What? So there can be a body with no spirit or mind in it? Oh, I think I've met some of those people. No, I'm just kidding. Hold on, I need a sip of coffee. Thank God it only happens seldom. Somebody walking around with nothing in there. The yellow ray body is your physical body, your physical vehicle, which you know of at this time and which you experience catalyst. Oh goodness, sorry, sneezing. Okay. And yeah, we spread that. This body has the mind, body, spirit characteristics and is equal to the physical illusion, as you have called it. There's a lot here that I don't know if we can fully understand all of this. The red ray is like the unformed clay. The orange ray is the formed without the mind and spirit attached. And then the yellow is when the mind and the spirit are part of the molded physical vehicle. Which makes sense, because that's what was talked about various times about those specific color rays in correspondence with the different densities, right? Red is of the earth, orange is before self-awareness, yellow is when self-awareness happens. Let's continue. The green ray body is that body which may be seen in a seance when what you call ectoplasm is furnished. Now we're getting into Team Weird territory here. This is a lighter body packed more densely with life. You may call this the astral body, following some other teachings. Others have called the same body the etheric body. However, that is not correct in the sense that the etheric body is the body of the gateway where an intelligent energy is able to mold the mind-body-spirit complex. So the green is the astral body, more full of life, more dense, but lighter. Ectoplasm. Okay. The light body, or the blue ray body, may be called the Devachantic body. There are many other names for this body, especially in your so-called Indian sutras or writings, for there are those among these peoples which have explored these regions and understand the various types of Devachantic bodies. There are many, many types of bodies in each density, much like your own. Okay, so that's a light body, which makes me think that it's probably getting denser and also lighter. The indigo ray body, which we choose to call the etheric body, is, as we have said, the gateway body. And this body form is substance. And you may only see this body as that of light, as it may mold itself as it desires. So indigo ray body, third eye ray body, is the gateway, only seen as light. It can make it into whatever it wants itself to look like. Good to know. The violet ray body may perhaps be understood as what you call the Buddha body. That just makes me think of Fat Buddha. Oh, sorry. Or that body which is complete. Each of these bodies has an effect upon your mind-body-spirit complex and your life beingness. The interrelationships are many and complex. Perhaps one suggestion that may be indicated is this. The indigo ray body may be used by the healer once the healer becomes able to place its consciousness in this etheric state. Okay, because the indigo ray is the gateway body of light. Okay, healers use this state. The violet ray, or the Buddhic body, is of equal efficacy to the healer, for within it lies a sense of wholeness which is extremely close to unity with all that there is. These bodies are part of each entity, and the proper use of them and understanding of them is, though far advanced from the standpoint of third density harvest, nevertheless useful to the adept. Okay. That paragraph hurt my brain a little bit. So healers use indigo and violet. And it's really complicated and far more advanced than our third density, but still useful to the people who are trying to do such stuff. And I think for me, one of the most important, or one of the most interesting sentences in that paragraph was, the indigo ray body may be used by the healer once the healer becomes able to place its consciousness in this etheric state. So here it's talking about healers and healing, but I wonder if that's the same place or similar thing that's happening when people channel. Is that where I'm going when I'm channeling these entities? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. Which bodies do we have immediately after physical death from the yellow ray body that I now inhabit? Good question, Dawn. You have all bodies in potentiation. Then the yellow ray body in potentiation is used to create the chemical arrangement that I have as a physical body now. Is that correct? Incorrect. Only in that your present incarnation, the yellow ray body, is not in potentiation but in activation, it being that body which is manifest. I put an exclamation point next to that, but now I don't understand what it means. In your present incarnation, the yellow ray body is not in potentiation but activation. Okay. All bodies are in potentiation. All bodies are potentially there. But Ra's saying it's not, when we're in the yellow ray body, it's not a potential, it's activated. Okay, I get it now. Then, after death from this incarnation, we still have the yellow ray body in potentiation, but then is in the general case of our planetary population after death, would they then normally have the green ray body manifested? Not immediately. The first body which activates itself upon death is the form maker, or the indigo ray body. This body remains, you have called it the Ka, until Etheria has been penetrated and understanding has been gained by the mind, body, spirit totality. Okay, once this is achieved, if the proper body is activated as green, then this will occur. So there has to be an understanding by the mind, body, spirit totality that the body, the yellow ray body, has died before it can be, the new proper body can be activated, which might be green, it might be something else. Let me make a statement and see if I'm correct. After death, then, if an entity is unaware, he may become what is called an earthbound spirit until he is able to achieve the required awareness for activation of one of the bodies. And it would be possible then to activate any of the bodies. Would this go all the way from red through violet? Given the proper stimulus, this is correct. So, talking about ghosts here, earthbound spirits aren't aware of what has happened to them. They haven't activated one of their other bodies. What stimulus would create what you call an earthbound spirit or a lingering ghost? The stimulus for this is the faculty of the will. The will of the yellow ray mind body spirit complex is that which is stronger than the progressive impetus of the physical death towards realization of that which comes. If the will of yellow ray mind body spirit complex is that which is stronger than the progressive impetus of the physical death towards realization of that which comes, that is, if the will is concentrated enough upon the previous experience, the entity's shell of yellow ray, though no longer activated, cannot either be completely deactivated, and until the will is released, the mind body spirit complex is caught. This often occurs as we see or aware in the case of sudden death, as well as in the case of extreme concern for a thing or other self. Yeah. So through their sheer will and unwillingness to release something or confusion that they've even died, they get stuck. Does orange ray activation after death occur very frequently with this planet? Quite infrequently, due to the fact that this particular manifestation is without will. Occasionally, an other self will so demand the form of the one passing through the physical death that some semblance of being will remain. Not letting go. Let's back that up a little bit. Occasionally, an other self will so demand the form of the one passing through the physical death that some semblance of the being will remain. Important. Because this is saying that when somebody dies and you are holding on to them so tightly, and I've seen this come through in other people's medium readings before. When someone that you love dies and you hold on to them so tightly and you're not willing to let them go, that some part of them gets kind of stuck as orange. This is orange ray. It says it's rare, but it can still happen. Not to scare anybody, but I know that it's happened, and here Ra is bringing it up. This is orange ray. This is rare, for normally if one entity desires another enough to call it, the entity will have the corresponding desire to be called. Thus the manifestation would be the shell of yellow ray. Okay. So usually, this is rare because usually if the living person, once to talk to the deceased person. The deceased person will just show up because they want to talk to them too. And they show up as the shell of what they looked like in the living. This is really good information for me as a medium. What does the large percentage of the Earth's population as they pass from the physical activate? The normal procedure, given a harmonious passage from yellow ray body manifestation, is for the mind-spirit complex to rest in the etheric or indigo body until such a time as the entity begins its preparation for experience in an incarnated place, which has a manifestation formed by the etheric energy, molding it into activation and manifestation. So the spirit complex rests in the etheric or indigo until they're ready to be incarnated again. This indigo body, being intelligent energy, is able to offer the newly dead, as you would term them, the newly dead soul, a perspective and a place from which to view the experience most recently manifested. So to look over their life. Okay. Then they ask if there's anything they can do to help Carla. And they have something different this time. The appurtenances, which are the stuff they put by Carla's head, her Bible and incense and the candle and all that stuff, are consciously measured by eye and spirit. Observe this instrument to ensure continued building of the vital energies. It will have to work upon its own physical energies, for this weakness was brought about by free will of the self. Somehow she made her own self weak. What an interesting session this has been. And, you know, I've read this already, clearly, because I marked it all up. But there's something about reading it out loud that makes it really click and sink in to the point where I can understand it better. And the stuff that came up about us leaving our mortal coils was really important and interesting for me as a medium. Okay, so let's review what we learned in this session. There was a lot of talk about social memory complexes, positive and negative. Then there was a lot of talk about moving from 4th to 5th density. Then there was a definition of the crystallized entity. And then there was a large part dedicated to the idea and definition of different types of bodies, which there's a lot of information in there, and I don't feel like I understand all of it yet. And then there was the talking about when we die, which I've gotten to the point where I just feel like the whole vocabulary and thought process we have around that is just wrong. It's all wrong. But how do we fix it now? Because it's not, death isn't death. There's no such thing as death. We don't die. This thing can't live forever because it has an expiration date. But this isn't really who we are. Really. This is a vehicle of which our real self propels around our planet for experience and learning and catalyst. But that's not who we really are. So there is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream in which we imagine our imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather. If you don't know what that's from, it's Bill Hicks, who's a comedian, but also Tool used it in one of their songs. Anyway, getting off topic, sort of. Good information there at the end for me personally as a medium about death. There's ghosts, earthbound spirit stuff, information. This was a good session. And it redeems last session and how strange it was with the cats and the whatnot. Although it was, I mean, the cats brought up some good information. They really did. But this session, I think, had a little bit more stuff going on in it. So if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. If this is the first raw video you've seen, you really should watch them in order. You probably don't have any clue what we're talking about. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, put it in the chat. Let's have a discussion about this. There is a Discord channel. There is a Discord thread in my Discord server that's specifically for talking about this raw stuff. So if you're interested, I'll make sure the link's in there. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.